Hello, it's TruthSOSeeker here. I'm back with another 1v1 for you guys. I have a really interesting game this time around for you. This was a game I played against a ShipMaster, and I have to say, fighting against a ShipMaster late game can be really painful. Of course, because, he has all of his different abilities to maneuver around the map, and even though Atriox excels at base trading, since ShipMaster has so many ways to, combat that, I think it makes it quite difficult to actually fight against a ShipMaster late game, even as Atriox. Anyway, we're going to start this game now, with a little bit of lag, of course. I'm queuing up my chopper, and I'm going to go for my standard double chopper build, or at least it was standard this time. I'm not really sure what I should be doing in terms of build. I've been messing around with a couple things, but I'm not so convinced on what's best yet. I'm actually thinking about picking up Cutter here soon, because Cutter's spooky, and Cutter is good. He's really, really good. But yeah, I'm sending my chopper out right now. Generally, I don't send my chopper to the other side of the map early, because if I were to try and ram a grunt or something, say, then if they also build a scout, then they can ram me, and they're going to get, advantage like that. So what I like to do, at the very least, is wait for my second chopper to get out. At least that way, if I find something, I can do a lot more damage to it, per se. I have my grunts just picking up the money. I'm going to get this remaining power before I go in, and I'm going to keep them together. I can understand why you may want to split them up, but I can also understand why you'd want to keep them together, too, because if you keep it together, then they're never really going to be in danger of actually falling. I think, actually, by the way, ramming that was potentially a mistake. Because, again, if the opponent also built two ghosts in this case, then I would have just used my rams, and he would have been able to get rams off on me, which I think would have benefited him. So I managed to kill those two grunts at the very least. I'm going to go ahead and check the power up on that ridge there. If you look at the minimap, it looks like his third grunt was actually there. So I'm going to manage to get that kill on him. And I'm going to send my grunt around the back now to try and get the mini bases behind me. And at this point, I'm kind of thinking that he's playing more conservative with his supplies, and he's going probably double gen, because I haven't seen anything from him. I've only seen the 3 grunts, and they were more or less unprotected, so thus I kind of assumed he had some sort of double generator build. I'm sending my choppers around too, because I figure, okay, maybe if he's going for some sort of eco build, then he probably didn't have any other units, so therefore he has nothing to take the mini bases with. And I saw that he didn't, so I'm assuming at this point, I still haven't scouted him, but at this point I actually already assumed he was going double generator. I figured that was what he was doing, at least. And yeah, we have a double generator with a raid camp, which surprised me. I wasn't really sure why raid camp. Maybe he was doing it for some sort of counter cheese, if I were to try to go jetpack brutes, but honestly, if I just went, say, choppers and engineers, or maybe just even raw choppers, that would have been difficult for him to deal with, at least. And it's something I should have considered, to be honest. That's something I don't do enough. I don't really consider my offensive options enough, and I need to be doing that more. Because, at least with the people I've been playing recently, I've been noticing they've been doing a lot more in terms of actual aggressiveness whenever I'm fighting an opponent that's Covenant. And I need to be responding better to that. Better than I am, at least. See, I'm actually going to, at least for the time being, queue up 3 more supply pads. And this will give me, I guess, a somewhat slight eco lead. But at the same time, that's 600 supplies for all those mini bases, and that's another 450 supplies for the supply pads. So that's over 1,000 supplies just in expanding over there. Combine that with the expense of buying the expansion and my 6 mini bases. It's interesting. You would think that I would be ahead here, because I have all these mini bases, these nodes, and the expo. But the thing is, he went double generator, and if you can recall to this point, I still have not built a second generator. And this game really showed me the I guess you could say, the necessity to build a second generator when you can. When is best, because right now he's actually been on Tech 2 for a little bit. You see he actually has 3 hunters out already, which I think is actually kind of ridiculous. And the thing is, he's going to be able to push pretty hard on me, and I'm still, like, I'm even upgrading that generator. That's going to put me further behind in terms of getting to Tech 2. I'm putting turrets up, so that should at least deter any pushes onto my bases. But he could fight for the nodes, he could fight to take out my mini bases. And there's not a whole lot I can really do about it. I can make Suey Grunts, and you see I have Suey Grunts. I did this to try and, you know, fight against any rangers and hunters he throws at me. I have Grunts, so that if he tries to go Banshees, I can stop that. And the choppers themselves will stop the Locusts. So I have some fighting ability against this Tech 1 army, but it's really just underwhelming compared to what I could have been doing. And you see, he's kind of like just in there contesting, and I have my Suey Grunts going down right now to try and make something happen, but the fact is like he even spots it here. He sees that I'm coming in with Suey Grunts, and he's just going to back out, which I think is totally fine of an option for him. I don't have teleport up yet either, so I can't teleport my units into him. That's often something you can try to do as Covenant. You can try and teleport Suicide Grunts into them. I have a point now. Is that a point I could put into teleport? If so, maybe I could have used it right now. I don't know if this is Bulwark or... This might be teleport. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I could have attempted to teleport into him right there. So that's one missed opportunity, I think. I think I actually was sending that chopper up now. Because, yeah, I'm like grouping the Suicide Grunts, getting ready to potentially do it, but I don't see him. So I'm assuming he just pulled out or whatever. Maybe he was going to one of the other nodes to take that out. But yeah, I am on a double generator now, but again, like the fact that he had that early time with Tech 2 was able to get him the army he needed to push out into the middle and grab a base for himself. And I think this is important. Like, actually really important of a factor to bring up. Because, again, either I had two options, really. I could have attempted to push on him and pressure him with choppers, or I could have attempted to just get a generator, and maybe even a triple generator, and work like that. I think both would have been fine, but the fact that I neglected my power income, I think really hurt me in this game, and really jeopardized the game in terms of almost losing it. I think it was that big of a mistake. But I mean, I'm pointing it out, so maybe you guys won't fall for it like I more or less did here. I'm still trying though. I feel that I'm not so far behind right now, but I need to be very careful because I still think in terms of actual troops, I think he's ahead. I'm pretty sure he has at least some locusts out on the field right now. Yeah, he has those there. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's going to go in for a push on my base. I should potentially get ready to push in on his. Again, I could have maybe tried to teleport my Suey Grunts, because I know where he's at, so that would have been an option. I'm building a sensor tower, actually, in exchange for that turret. Because I knew that with the sensor tower, you can actually have sight on things up on the ridge. But yeah, I do finally get that teleport I've been talking about often. I think it was an alright teleport. In terms of Suey Grunts to Rangers, they're really honestly about the same in resources, so 1-to-1 would be just normal, I guess. But yeah, I have some guys coming in here trying to pressure a little bit. Gonna send those Banshees because I'm thinking, oh, it's just a Locust, right? And of course, then I see his whole army's there, so I'm gonna pull back out. But I actually need to be very, very careful here. Right now I can still fight because he doesn't have sight on me. But The thing is I used my teleport, right? So anytime he teleports into me, I have to respond. And the thing is, what can I respond with? Right? Because his army is bigger than mine right now. And I can't leave, so that basically leaves me with Bulwark. And that's just not going to work. It's too risky to basically stay around. And see, I'm still pushing on him. There is purpose behind this. I'm basically looking at it as, okay, if he does teleport into me, at the very least, then he's going to be not as close to my other bases, and that's going to give me time to build up and get defenses and all that great stuff. So I was also a little bit annoyed that he was going such heavy Locust, because I always considered Locust kind of a cheesy unit. But it honestly makes sense when you're fighting a ShipMaster to go Locust, because that's the only way you're really going to make it work. And this was a mistake, and I think my opponent finally exploits it. Right, he does here with teleporting of his own. And this is I guess the curse that you have to try and deal with when you're playing as Atriox or Decimus and Rip Colony. But it's that you are always going to be outmaneuvered in a lot of cases by ShipMaster late game. And again, I think a potential cure for this as Atriox is to expand, and you need to try and meet their army in time to stop an expansion, and a developed expansion at that, from a ShipMaster. Because if you could imagine that if I was on all these bases and he didn't have an expo right now, the situation would be a lot better for me. You see, I'm still somewhat fighting his army because I am able to produce a good bit of units. I'm at 60 pop even. So it's not like I can't fight his army at all, but the fact that I was put so far behind and he's been able to pressure me so much has really set me back. Now, of course, I knew he was going to go up there to try and pressure that, so that's why I'm kind of getting ready to engage here, because I know I can't just let him sit there and kill that base, because honestly, if he kills that base, he probably will be better at that point. Because yeah, if we're on equal bases and you're fighting against a developed ShipMaster, Atriox really suffers. And the whole advantage of Atriox would basically be gone then. And that is, of course, that you're ahead in terms of bases and development of an army. So, unfortunately, we have the Locust War going on here. It's almost a disease, more or less. But, yeah, I'm actually throwing in some grunts here to get ready to go for some nodes as well, because I want to try and start capping some of these nodes. Not necessarily for myself, but I really love how whenever you cap nodes, it gives you extra line of sight. I love that factor so much. I mean, the extra eco is, of course, helpful. But I checked this base because I figure, okay, if he's on a triple, I have to keep the triple down, right? You just can't let a ShipMaster be on equal bases. And since I'm on 3, if he has 3, then I have to take it out. But he didn't have it, so I go ahead and I grab it. I'm retreating back now, and I'm thinking, okay, if I can manage to secure 4 bases, then I can just fight his army, win, or trade, or whatever, and then just rebuild faster than him, because, my eco is going to be better. But I notice he isn't pushing, so I'm thinking, well, I could also try and go in for a base trade, because that's another option I have. So I'm going to go ahead, and I think I'm finally deciding, okay, my positioning seems to be more on his side, so let's go ahead and go in for that potential base trade. At the very least, if he comes back to try and stop it, it's again on this side of the map. And, of course, I see him behind me. If you've seen several other games I've had on this map in particular, generally I've noticed if you have a big army going by that power node, they see you, and so they know you're coming. But I'm still okay with that, because that means his army is not attacking me, and that's more time that my base has to develop. And I think that honestly is really good for me. But here he actually pushes out, and I think I was honestly in a really unoptimal spot. I go ahead and get rid of that supply pad for a foundry, so that I can start making a locust. Get rid of that sensor tower for a shield. I can see the point, but at the same time, maybe I should have got rid of another turret. It's kind of heartbreaking to get rid of a turret for a shield, but the thing is now that I got rid of that sensor tower, now all those turrets really aren't going to shoot if he's up on a ledge, which kind of defeats the purpose of the turret almost. So I really, even though it was kind of heartbreaking, I should have done that. It's also worth noting, I could have just teleported up here, of course, but by not using the teleport, I've given myself an extra option now. So, say he displaces me, or he teleports into me. I would have been left with the same scenario as before, where I have no option but to bulwark and pray that I can do some decent trade. But now that I have teleport in reserves, you see he displaces me here, but now I have teleport as an option. And I would not have had that option would I have used teleport to go up there to begin with. So I think that's at least something nice that I had, that I was able to make work. It's also, I need to be getting another generator here. If you notice, my power eco is kind of suffering. I have so much supply stacked up. I have like 5 Banshees queued as well. So I have a lot of supply stacked up. But I just don't have that good of a power income. I know I have 4 of the 5 nodes right now, which is nice. But I can't really fight him. I was gonna send that one hunter and those Banshees. Like, okay, I can fight that, but I see he actually has his full army up here, and the majority of what's left here is just gonna fall. So I'm just gonna try and push on his other base now with my current units. Unfortunately, this whole engagement basically allowed him to take out my mini bases in the back, because otherwise it would have taken him a little bit of time, even if he, you know, dedicated a locust to doing it. It'd be some micromanaging to make work at least. I don't have teleport back, so I'm basically forced to bulwark this. And if you actually see here, I have most of my locusts up there right now. So since he teleported his hunters into me, that actually really hurt me, losing those locusts, because that was basically a lot of my base trade potential. Would I have gone in for that? Honestly, looking back, maybe me building a locust like this was wrong. If I were to have invested in, say, more hunters or rangers, that might have been a stronger option. Just considering I would have been able to fight his army more directly. See, I keep getting the fortify upgrades. Of course, it makes the base cheaper, but the other way of looking at it is, well, I can go in for base trades, you know. And that's always something I'm looking out for. But against ShipMaster in particular, I kind of wonder if I'm looking at it the wrong way. Because in a lot of my games, especially against UNSC, this is especially applying to UNSC, you always want to keep an eye out for base trade potential, because you can build locusts and have them support from the back, but if the UNSC is ever out of position, you can teleport, and they don't have a teleport to meet you. And they gotta retreat all the way back to wherever you're at. And this gets kind of awkward for UNSC. At least I feel. I go ahead and teleport here because I kind of saw me getting away with it in this specific scenario. I'm gonna try and go again, up and behind his base. But I am somewhat worried right now, because you see he does have locusts, and I don't have locusts right now. So I actually feel that my situation, I'm really close to grasping at straws here, and I was thinking I was at jeopardy of losing the game right now, because I managed to let him get to such a position where his units, or rather his army, was so strong I couldn't fight it. I thought about using eradication, but I reasoned there was no need to, or no point, because he would just, you know, teleport out of it. He's got so many movement options that I wouldn't be able to stop it. It would literally only be a good option if he didn't look, and that's kind of wishful thinking in my book. Of course, I have units that are being trained that are just kind of walking into his army, which is a little bit annoying. I have these 2 locusts here, and I'm going to try and get them to put in some kind of work. But I see he actually cloaked his base, and because of that I can't actually get anything to shoot at his base, which is kind of annoying. You see he was actually getting ready to retreat back, but I actually wasn't able to hit his base because Embarrassingly, I didn't have any detect units, so I think he realizes this too, so he goes back into more or less just base trading with me. Alright, lose an unfortunate hunter. You see my rangers just sitting on the edge, just begging to like see the base so that I can shoot at it. But yeah, I see he's there. I suppose maybe I could have tried and teleported like hunters into him or something, or I could have even tried eradicationing him. But and you'll see why I do this here. I actually do decide to go in for the eradication. I mean, of course, there's always the chance that he'll miss it. I didn't expect him to, but it was more so to get him to leave, to buy me some more time. Because you think about how he was hitting my base right now, and think about how much time this bought me. It's bought me about maybe 10 seconds of time, because he had to use that teleport. I could see it also being useful on the space itself, but it was another option, and that I think it definitely helped me out being able to use that. So I'm training Locust behind his base here just to try and get some extra DPS in this base trade. He destroyed my base. Maybe he could have tried to extract, but I think honestly what he did, from what I at least saw, is I think he actually extracted when he saw the eradication and then just teleported back up to my base. Which I think that's what he did. And because of that, that kind of hindered him in the sense that he couldn't really respond to, well, what I'm doing right here. Because I was noticing he wasn't responding to this, and I think he should have. But I guess he just didn't have the ability to. But yeah, you can see my pop here is getting pretty high again. I'm up at 82. Unfortunately, most of it is consisting of Locust, which is, you know, not what you really want in terms of an army when it comes to being potentially able to fight against the actual enemy here. I'm going in for another. I want to say. How do I say it? More like just risk-taking kind of option, because you saw I used that teleport, and again, like that's the thing you always got to be careful of, is that he can always try and get you in an unoptimal position. But I guess I was just reasoning that he was going in for the base trade, and he didn't really want to have to retreat and deal with my army. So right now he is not on a base, which is of course really good for me since I have several bases up and I have a lot of the mini bases. Right now, potentially what I could opt for is to just build up an army and secure another base and work like this. Because with all of these mini bases, it's basically me functioning on a full base in terms of eco. You see, I have that base really developed as well, so that's always really good. I'm sitting on 99 pop actually too, even upgrading, and things were looking really good right now until this engagement, and I think this was a really annoying mistake that I made. Because I know teleport's nearly online. I know I have bulwarks. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll bulwark, fight him, and then I can just teleport away if it doesn't look good, right? So I go ahead and I throw down the bulwark. I destroy his base. I'm like, okay, let's fight. Teleports back online. And I realize, oh, I don't have enough power. And my eco is ridiculously bad for power. I have no power generators. I'm only getting it from that one power node that I have. So I go ahead and I sell my shield generator. Desperately trying to teleport away. I go ahead and try and do it. And of course, the teleporter glitches. I hate it when it does that so much. It's costed me so many units. But yeah, I teleport away now. Basically saving a few engineers, a few banshees, and a locust, which is really bad, to be honest, considering how much I had. I was sitting on basically max pop there, so that was a really bad trade. But I am able to at least have some base trade pressure because I still have that one locust. And you can, if you see here, he actually doesn't have a locust right now. So that's, I think, one of the only things I really had going for me. Of course, I do have the mini bases as well, so you could count that. But it's the fact that I have that one locust putting in some huge amount of work in terms of keeping him down. He does have a good bit of Reavers right now, to the point where I really don't want to be fighting him with my Banshees. But that's worth bringing up the point that I still have one good option in terms of fighting him directly that I can do. And that's Banshees, because they cost only supply, and due to my current eco, because I think most of those pads that I have are upgraded on the mini bases, I actually have the ability to produce Banshees still. And my Banshees, I believe, are tier 2 right now, so that's interesting to say the least. I'm still not really in a position where I can fight his army, but if I could ever just pick off his units, and there I tried to buy that base. If I was just like a second sooner, I could have bought that and I could have timed him out, which would have been really nice, to say the least. He actually displaces my army into him. I'm guessing his power was just ridiculously good because he has all these power nodes. Yeah, I'm trying to micromanage my Banshees because, you know, they're just flying all over the place. But yeah, I go ahead and actually get rid of that raid camp because I'm like, okay, I need a generator. I need to buy things. I need to build things. But you can see it's kind of annoying, but like, just due to the way my units are grouping around, and I'm not blaming my units for this, by the way, but it's just annoying that my units keep dropping off due to the mis-micromanaging of the units themselves. Oh yeah, and this point right here, I have to say this was kind of BS right here. See, he's got this base, and look at this locust. This locust can shoot through the wall with this base, and this is... I can understand if you have sight from something, you should be able to shoot it, but like, you shouldn't be able to shoot through walls, and this is honestly just kind of dumb that I'm able to do this. But yeah, he teleports back to try and deal with those Banshees. And again, like, he doesn't have the ability to produce, so if I can manage to get a decent number of Banshees up, and then just start trading with him, units, he's in a lot of trouble. Because, like, you see how many bases I have right now. And, of course, a lot of them are very underdeveloped, but the fact is he has to manage to get to them to kill all of them, and I even managed to buy this base. So, like, right now, he doesn't really have a base to fight with. And of course, I think he just walked through the majority of my Banshees. But yeah, he's not on a base, and you can see my eco is actually still not that bad in terms of supply. Like, I can still produce Banshees. And I'm just able to basically hold down enough to where he can't really push out, and he can't really defend the base either. And I'm actually able to win the game because of it. So, interesting game. I thought I was going to lose this game, actually, a couple of times. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in another one. So take care.